When You Wish Upon a Star, Chapter 11. The Belmaggios gave up trying to keep Chiara's party a surprise. A good thing, because by 7 o'clock there had been at least 200 people, half the town, crammed into their property. Guests spilled onto the road, many of them in line to view the long tables set up in the courtyard, Mrs. Belmaggio's famous dessert spread. The tower of cookies was high enough to touch the lanterns Mr. Belmaggio had hung on the trees, and everyone clapped appreciatively when Mrs. Belmaggio and Mrs. Vacchi brought in a 5-tiered chocolate cake, meticulously decorated with plump crimson cherries and hazelnut frosting. Each layer was shaped like a scalloped bowl, meant to resemble the fountain in Pariva's central square, and topped with a generous sprinkling of bluebell petals. But what made Chiara tear up were the cards pressed carefully into the cake, each on a sliced piece of cork. Messages from every friend, neighbor, child, and elder she had ever known. We'll miss you. May you spread your light and make all of Vesperia bright. Good luck with the fairies. They'd be fools not to take you in. And so it went on. Chiara held the cards to her heart. She hugged the children at her side, who had been reading over her shoulder, squeezing each of them affectionately. She turned to her parents and kissed them on the cheeks. How lucky I am to have you, Mama, Papa, thank you. She faced the waiting guests. And how lucky I am to have been born in Pariva. Don't forget to watch over us when you are a fairy, Mr. Set announced. Of course she will. It's our Kia. Chiara pursed her lips. She knew they all meant well, but she couldn't help feeling a twinge of uncertainty. She was only leaving on a trial. Her heart told her she owed herself a chance to see what becoming a fairy would be like, but she didn't made up her mind about what would happen afterward. What could she tell them without letting everyone down? If I become a fairy, she said, I'll do my best to make you all proud. Now let's eat, her mother cried, wiping at the tears that slipped from her eyes. Cake for everyone. At the announcement, Niccolo and his string quartet filled the merry courtyard with song, most of which were serenades to woo Sophia Ferrario, the young lady he started seeing. Mrs. Belmaggio wove around the house, chatting with the guests and making sure everyone's plate was full, while Mr. Belmaggio ushered people to dance and drink and eat cake. The house and the yard buzzed with laughter and fond memories of Chiara, with everyone having a marvelous time, even Mr. Tomanzo, who had made a surprise appearance with his son. The stern luthier was helping himself to the promised piece of chocolate cake. While everyone celebrated, Chiara couldn't shake the feeling in her gut that someone here was far from happy. Someone was miserable. She spun slowly, holding an invisible compass that guided her. That was when she found her sister. Ilaria was parked beside Papa's herb garden with Simona and Beatrice eating cake. Every few seconds she threw her head back and laughed, and her face settled into an overly wide smile. Her actress smile, Kia knew. It only showed her upper teeth. When Illy was genuinely happy, you could see the bottom teeth, too. Her eyes kept drifting off to the side as if she'd rather be anywhere but here. I need to talk to her, Kia thought. Squeezing her way through the crowds towards her sister was a Herculean effort. Every 2 steps, someone stopped Kia to congratulate her, and out of courtesy she would cut the conversation short. By the time she made it to her sister, Simona and Beatrice had already finished their slices of cake. What do you mean you don't know whether she's going to join the fairies? Simona asked, licking the frosting from her fork. When she comes back, she'll be a full-fledged one, won't she? She'll be able to grant wishes then, Beatrice added. I wonder, will we still need to wish on the wishing star if we have our very own fairy? Simona rolled her eyes. I know what you'd wish for Niccolo to finally notice you. Well, you'll have to wish him away from Sophia. I wouldn't waste a wish on that. Beatrice's cheeks flushed with anger. Not everyone's as shameless as you and Illy. Illy's kissed half the town, said Simona. I've only kissed Pietro. Simona passed her plate to the waiting young man and ordered him to fetch her another slice. Then she turned to Illy. You must be happy. All your dreams are going to come true. What do you mean? Asked Illy thinly. Why even bother applying to the conservatory when your sister's going to be a fairy? One tap of her wand and you'll be rich and famous. I didn't spend years of studying and practicing for my sister to make me famous, said Illy. I can do it on my own. You think so? Let's face it, your voice is pretty, but it's the sort of pretty that's for peddling extra money on the street and lulling babies to sleep. And getting boys to kiss you, added Beatrice with a giggle. Illy glared. It doesn't strike the ear as diva material, Simona went on. On top of that, you're not even a good actress. Last time I saw an opera, Maria Linda made me sob. She was divine. Illy's fists clenched at her sides. Luckily, now you have Kia. Your future's all sorted, Beatrice agreed. In spite of what she'd said, Beatrice was just as shameless as Simona, and she tugged on Illy's hand, wheedling. I can't think of the last time a fairy's visited Pariva, and I look out for the wishing star every night. Help a friend, Illy. We've been like sisters ever since we were born. Do you think— No, said Illy coldly. I don't know if she'll be able to grant your wishes. Illy eyed Kia's approach. Why don't you ask her yourself? Her friends whirled, finding Kiara behind him. It was an awkward situation to arrive in, but Kiara deflected the girls with a pleasant wave and asked, May I borrow my sister for a minute? It's your party, Kia, said Simona, her words honeyed in a way Kia had never heard directed at her. You can do whatever you'd like. Thank you. Kiara steered Illy into the house. It was crowded inside too, but not as badly as in the courtyard. You all right? She asked her sister as they hiked up the stairs. Piles and piles of gifts covered the staircase. It's like a funeral, muttered Illy, overhearing someone praise Kiara's kindness. Except you're not dead. Everyone's saying all these wonderful things about you. Everyone toasting your memory. Doesn't it bother you? A little, admitted Kiara. But the party's more for Mama and Papa than for me. Agata didn't tell us what will happen if I decide to become a fairy after I finish my training. Whether I'll get to live at home again and see you often, or... Her voice trailed, and she didn't want to think about the alternatives. It'll be different when you come back, said Illy. What do you mean? Everyone loves you. They always have, but now they want you to love them too. Illy glanced at the mound of fruit baskets and wrapped sliced meats and homemade soaps and candles that had taken over the staircase. In case they want something from you. Not everyone is that mercenary. We'll see. Often it amazed Kiara how different she and Illy were. She tried to see the goodness in people, whereas her sister was far more cynical. We balance each other, I suppose. She reached for Illy's hand. I heard what Simona and Beatrice said. You don't need friends like that. Then who will be my friend? Said Illy. You? You're not even going to be here. I'll always be your sister, said Kia. She dusted a crumb from Illy's collar. Now chin up. What would a Belmaggio party be without a concert? Let's not let your practicing go to waste. I don't feel like singing, mumbled Ilaria. That didn't sound like her stubborn younger sister. Illy thrived on attention. She'd practically been born giving concerts. Is it because of what Simona said? Asked Kia. Don't listen to her. You have a beautiful voice, Illy. A showstopper voice. Would I lie to you? You can't lie, Illy scoffed. Even if your life depended on it. See? Her sister released a woeful sigh. No one wants to hear me sing tonight. This is your party, not mine. I can think of one person who's here for you, not me. Illy crossed her arms. Who? Come with me. Kia guided her sister downstairs to the blue room. Inside were dozens of Mama and Papa's friends, but standing in the corner, studying the design of the lyre music stand, was Geppetto. Ilaria's shoulders went tight under Kiara's hands. No, Kia, I already told you He's your friend, Illy. I'm not asking you to marry him, for goodness sake, but you never talk to him. Her sister cast her glare. Because he literally turns into a tomato every time he's within 3 feet of me. Maybe I'm the one who's becoming a fairy. They got a laugh out of both sisters, and Ilaria finally relented. All right, but only to show you I'm right. Right she was. Geppetto practically tripped over the music stand in the sight of Ilaria, and his ears turned bright red. Find the music stand fascinating, Mr. Geppetto? Said Ilaria, sending a sidelong I-told-you-so glance at Kiara. Oh, yes. The engravings on the cedar are quite special. It must have been in your family for a long time. Our great-grandmother was an accomplished violinist, supplied Chiara. Much better than Niccolo, Ilaria added. And it was a gift to her. Well, it's beautifully preserved, Geppetto said, straightening. He backed up until his heels hit the wall. And this has been a wonderful party. Our family owes its fortunes to you, said Ilaria dryly. If you hadn't almost drowned, the fairies never would have noticed Kia. Ilaria, Chiara exclaimed. That's an entirely inappropriate thing to say. No, Geppetto insisted. I think the fairies would have chosen Chiara even if I hadn't fallen off my boat. It's fate. I don't believe in fate, replied Ilaria, crossing her arms. Perhaps you should, said Geppetto. Fate watches us all of us. She's the reason we're here tonight. Ilaria arched a dark eyebrow. I never would have taken you for a dreamer. What dreams would a luthier's son have? He reddened, stammering. I thought so. There's not much potential for dreaming in a dusty old workshop. No, there's an art to lutherie. Making an instrument the very best it can be is a craft. You talk as if instruments are alive. They are, when they're played, Geppetto said seriously. I guess that makes the voice the most natural instrument of all. The creases on Ilaria's brow smoothed. I suppose so, she allowed, softening. Her sister was charmed, Chiara could tell, and she backed away a little to give the two some space to talk. Geppetto and Illy had much in common. They were both secret dreamers who shared a deep love for music. Yes, Illy was reckless and headstrong, but Geppetto was endlessly patient and caring. They would balance each other beautifully. In her heart, Chiara knew they would find their way. But it helped to give a little nudge. Speaking of which, she cut in, Illy's agreed to sing. How about the Nightingale aria? It happens to be both your favorite. Before Illy could question Geppetto whether that was true, Kia towed her to the center of the room, where an audience was already beginning to congregate. While Ilaria gathered her poise, Chiara settled on the harpsichord bench and rested her fingers on her opening notes. The ivory keys had begun to yellow with age, but their sound was full and joyous. She glanced at her sister, taking a breath to cue that she'd begin. The second Ilaria released her voice, the chatter ceased. People eating cake in the hallway ambled into the chamber to listen, and people opened the windows so guests outside in the courtyard could hear them too. The nightingale awaits for a song to go along, Illy sang. It was a bittersweet aria, whose story Ilaria had mastered, sharing with not only her voice, but also with the expression on her face. The movements of her arms and the carefully choreographed blocking she performed as she crossed one side of the room to the other. Yet tonight something was off. Her tone carried more melancholy than usual, and the tempo she led was a beat slower than when they'd practiced. Kia doubted anyone would notice. Illy's pride was in her coloratura, and every moment she was still magnificent. Each note in the impressive cascades attacked with vim and beauty, as if she were truly a bird chirping. But behind the technical difficulties of the piece, Illy managed to show her musicality and bring emotion to her voice. That was what cast a spell over everyone who listened. Brava! The guests cheered when the song was over. Applause made the walls vibrate, and Chiara remained at her instrument while her sister curtsied and bowed. Usually after a performance, the children raced up to Illy and tugged on her skirt adoringly. Will you sing more for us, Miss Ilaria? They would ask. How does your voice go so high? You sound like a bird. Sing another one. But tonight, Illy ignored the children as they went up to her. Her mind was on something else. And as she slipped out of the room, the children turned instead to Chiara. They peppered her with questions about the wishing star, about wands and wings and other things Chiara couldn't answer. A reminder of how little she knew about the future she was about to undertake. I don't know, she replied to question after question. While she indulged her curious admirers, she kept an eye out for Illy. Her sister did not return to the blue room, and Chiara was getting up to find her, when Geppetto came up to her at the harpsichord. He smiled at the children and shyly offered them a few little toys from his bright pocket, the small figures Chiara had spotted in his cabinet. The cat with a forked tail, a wooden tiger, and even an elephant. The children gasped with delight and ran off to play with their new toys. And as Geppetto approached Chiara, he reached into his left pocket. I put this on the stairs at first, but it's so small I worried you wouldn't see it. He plucked out a wooden dove and presented it to her bashfully. I didn't get a chance to paint it, but it's perfect, said Chiara, cupping her hands to accept the gift. She held the dove in her palm and marveled at how lifelike it looked when it smoothed and rounded wings and gentle beak. If I have a window on the wishing star, I'll set it on the sill. That made Geppetto beam. Imagine that, something I've made on a fairy's windowsill. I'm not a fairy yet. You will be, he said. Everyone's proud of you, even my papa, though he'll never admit it. Having a fairy come from Pariva, well, it's a great honor. Everyone said that, and Chiara's shoulders fell. Not everyone is happy, she murmured. Geppetto furrowed his brow, then guessed. Ilaria? Is it that obvious? No, but she sounded different tonight. Of course, Geppetto had noticed. Will you talk to her? Chiara asked. Me? Geppetto said. Without looking, he aimed his hands for his pockets, but missed completely. He stared at them as if he had been betrayed. I don't know. She doesn't seem to like me much. That's not true, said Chiara softly. I have a feeling you two are destined to be friends. She'll like you very much when she gets to know you. Geppetto's blue eyes flew up. You think so? He cleared his throat. I mean, I don't. She could use a friend when I'm not here. A true friend. Geppetto looked down at his hands again. I seem to forget how to ask when I'm around her. She's nicer than she acts, Chiara encouraged. Will you be a friend to her, as a favor to me? When still Geppetto hesitated, Chiara knew she needed the two to come together. She played her very last chord, smiling. I did save you. A gentleman like Geppetto couldn't refuse. All right. Why don't you go look for her now? She's been in the kitchen a while, and everyone's waiting to hear her sing more. My father... Don't worry about your father. Kia glanced at Mr. Tomanzo, who was embroiled in a hearty argument with Mr. Vacchi. I doubt he'll be ready to leave. Geppetto drew a deep breath, as if gathering his courage. Then he nodded. Don't forget to take a slice of cake for him.